Welcome to my first YouTube video and welcome to my channel. My name is Paul and in this channel I'll be teaching everything about web development, computer science, coding and programming in general. So anything related to coding and programming and computer science, this is your channel. This video will be very short. We'll create a login form with this button, toggle button. We are going to use HTML, CSS and JavaScript. I'll mainly focus on the JavaScript part. So the starter files for this one, for HTML and the CSS part, is going to be linked in the description below, so you can go and download. So the main purpose of this video is to create the toggle button, how to create the show password button using JavaScript. So to follow along, you can download the starter files. That includes the index and the styles file. In JavaScript, now this is the easiest part. So what are we supposed to do? So what we want is, when I click this button, when the button is clicked, it should change this input element from password to text. Okay, so when this button is clicked, change this input element and give it text, not password anymore. And after that, this icon also should change from I to slash, because if you can see from our project, so this one is clicked, it's changing from I, and this has changed to text. Okay, so if I click again, it's changing to password, and I click again, changing to text, and also this one is changing. So that means I have to get this input element and get this button, so and add an event listener to the button. When the button is clicked, change this input element from password to text and change the class for this button from I to I slash. So what to do in the JavaScript file? So I'll open the JavaScript file. So I'll say required. So required, that means first we have to get the button element and the password input element. Okay, so after we have got all those, and then add event listener. Okay, add event listener to the button when it has been clicked. So after the button has been clicked, change the password input element to text, and at the same time change the I icon to I slash. So this is what I'm supposed to do. So the first thing that we're going to do is we have to select the button. So this one, so say document, I'm going to create a variable. So say toggle button L equals document create selector toggle icon. So it's going to select the button. It's going to select the button that to the button. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add an event listener. So what kind of event am I going to add is, so from the button I want to say, okay, so whenever the button has been clicked, okay, so whenever the button has been clicked, I want you to run the following function. So whenever the button has been clicked, so I want the following function to be executed. Okay, so to test that, let's just say alert. Oops. So just say alert button is clicked. So let's just test. So come on here this one. So say if I click this button, what should happen? So I have to test it out. So I'll come here and click. Why something's not happening? Okay, it's because we did not we forgot to link the JavaScript file to the index file. So I'm going to say script source app.js. So I'll add an attribute here, say defer, to allow the script file to load after the HTML element. So when I come back here and I try it again, when I click here, so see now button is clicked. That means this button has been properly selected. Now, so this is not what I want to do. Now I've selected the button, now it's working. So what I want to do also is, when I click this button, I want this input element to change from being password to type text. Okay. So to do that, I'm going to select this input element using that ID. So I'll say, I'll give it a variable, password element equals document dot query selector, and then it's an ID. So I'm going to use an ID selector, password, hash password. So hash is going to be, is an ID selector for an ID attribute. So what I'm going to do, if this button has been clicked, the button has been clicked, this password element should change its type to text. So I'll say the button has been clicked, so password element, once the button has been clicked, change its type content to text. Okay, so when the button has been clicked, the type of its content should be text. That means it's no longer password, it will be text. So if I come here and type password, for example, so once I click here, change the content of this to text. Okay, once the button has been clicked. So let's see, but it's not happening anymore. Why? It's because I just said that once I click this, change it to text. But to turn it back to password, I have to give it a condition that if the input element, its type is text, then turn this back to password. Or if its type is password, then turn it back to text. That means in this file, I have to run a condition to say, if password element, the type, the content type of that element is equal to password. If the content type of that is password, then take the same password element and change its type to text. Okay, and then if, so I'll just run else because it's two condition. Then now if it's text, then turn it back to password. So if it's password, then turn it to text, else turn it back to password. So turn the type back to password. So now that this is how you run the condition. So if you check now, that is going to be possible. So if you say password and then toggle password, and then I click again, it's going to turn to password and text, password and text. Now for this part, now we are done. The only part remaining now is when we click here, when it's password showing, and then this icon should change to /, should change to slash. So to do that, that means from the HTML element within the I tag, where we have added our icon, so you can see there is a class from font awesome solid, and the class font awesome far I. This one is the one that is giving us the access to the I icon. That means I want to say once the button has been clicked, I also want to change this class. Should not be I, should be I slash. That means if I add here, I want the button to change, the icon to change to I slash. I want it to change to I slash once I click there. So once the button has been clicked, I want it to change to I slash. Okay. So what we should do there, so I'm going to remove this. So I'm going to say, I'll create another element. This element, I'm going to say icon, just call it icon. Or I should say icon equals document dot query selector. So I am going to select this icon element, and within this icon element, I want to change the class list from I to I slash. So I'm going to use the toggle icon parent element. So I'm going to select through the toggle icon and select I. So I've selected this I element as a variable. So what I want to do with it, okay, once I have clicked it and the element of the input element, the type of the input element is password, I want to change the input type to text. At the same time, I want to change the I icon, the class list, okay, oops, the class list, I want to remove the var I. Okay, once I click that, I want to remove this class here so that it should turn from the I to I slash. So remove that one, and then at the same time, on the same icon, I want you on the class list to add, oops, so to add a class list on the class list, font awesome I slash, okay, add slash. Else, if the type is password, then turn it back to the I. So I'm just going to copy and paste this one, and then I just do the opposite. So at first I remove the I, then I'm going to remove the I slash, and then I'm going to add the I. So I know there are a lot of ways of doing this, like there are a lot of ways of doing this. So I just thought this one is the easiest. There are a lot of ways of doing this. This is not the best, but this is one of them. So when you come here and you put your password, for example, and then when you click here, so the password has changed to text, and at the same time, the icon has changed to slash. So when you click back, I, then I slash, and at the same time, the text is also changing from password to text. Yeah, so this is how you create a show password and a login form. So the code for this one is going to be available on my GitHub. So you're going to go and download with the link in the description. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe. See you in the next lesson.